Hi, so today I just wanted to come on and talk about RSD. And I know it's often talked about in the podcast and it's often referred to in some of the workshops, but I know some of you who are new to the membership, who are just sort of discovering their ADHD and learning about it, may want a little bit more of a breakdown of RSD and how it can look and what it can feel like. And if you aren't familiar, RSD is short for Rejection Sensitivity Dysphoria. Now, it is, I would say, one of the most debilitating parts of ADHD. I think there's lots of debilitating, challenging parts of ADHD, but I think RSD is very limiting and can really prevent us from moving forwards, doing what we want to do, living with integrity, potentially living to our full purpose. And so the rejection sensitivity dysphoria is often a light bulb moment for people. It's one of those times where they once they understand how it showed up throughout their life, they understand how perhaps it's interwoven with social anxiety, with not being able to speak up, not understanding why they've behaved in certain situations, why they've reacted in different ways. And, you know, it's one of those, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not recognised medically, but apparently it's now going into the DSM as part of one of the fundamental trait symptoms of ADHD, which just shows how impactful it can be on someone's life. And there's even sort of brain scans to show when it can flare up as well. So it's not something that we're imagining. It's not something that we're blowing up out of proportion. And I've seen it time and time again, how it impacts people's relationships, how it impacts people's careers, the impact it can have on friendships. And I just want you to be able to just recognise it for what it is and understand it. Because when we start understanding it and we've got awareness of it, we're able to create space. We're able to look at it as something maybe separate from us. And we're able to understand there's certain triggers, that perhaps that there's certain things that we know that it could flare up in different environments when perhaps we are working in, for up to a promotion, or perhaps having to do a presentation, or there's social situations that we're going to be part of. And we can start perhaps seeing the RSD for what it is and saying, okay, that's potentially when it's going to flare up, or certain arguments that keep cropping up time and time again, and being able to recognize, okay, how can I lessen this situation for myself, but perhaps explain it to a partner, explain it to a loved one, a parent, anything. So we can almost preempt it so they can understand where we're coming from, and also recognise it as women in our cycles as well. I know that I'm not the only person, female, to know that we're much more sensitive around the last 2 weeks of our cycle. And it's very noticeable again in perimenopause. So it's one of those things that it's, when we understand it, we see it, we spot it. It's not something that we can dismiss. It's not something we can say, oh, I'm being silly. It's a very real thing. So I think in this video, what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to invite you to understand where it's showing up, and show yourself forgiveness and compassion for that throughout your life. Perhaps it's one of those things where you can sit with a journal and you can really pinpoint certain moments in your childhood, in your teenage life, in your earlier years, perhaps as you're doing different things in your careers and marriage relationships, where you can understand where you didn't spot it for what it was. You didn't understand where it was coming back to haunt you over time and time again. Perhaps where you pushed it away, maybe where you dismissed it, maybe you were ridiculed for it, ashamed, you were made to feel bad. And give yourself that love and that compassion that perhaps wasn't shown at the time. And this is a really powerful exercise, because when we do this, we are doing the painful exercise of bringing it up, almost feeling those feelings again. And we can almost feel exactly the feelings, the sickness, the shame, the embarrassment, the sadness, the anger, the resentment, whatever that is, and just kind of allowing it to just kind of settle. And then once we've done that, we can recognize perhaps, where someone else was in the wrong, but we may have had those inflated, more sensitive feelings. And then how we can move forwards in the future. How can we help ourselves in the future? where our boundaries perhaps weren't great, perhaps with people pleasing and perfectionism. I know that it's so interlinked that we are trying to perhaps please everyone else and not ourselves. So I'm just inviting you today to bring some more awareness with RSD and allow you to maybe bring some more intentional shifts and more space and pause and a breath. And sometimes I really do find that sort of a physical breath, a physical pause, a physical space, walk out the room, take yourself for a walk before you react, before you perhaps impulsively send that text, leave that message, write that email, and give yourself, I find it a very powerful tool to talk to yourself back as that kind of older, wiser, more compassionate version of yourself. If you kind of think of yourself as that inner mentor, and we all have that inner mentor because that's that sort of that inner wiser version of ourselves when we're not heightened. And so we have to sort of take ourselves out of that heightened state. And you know me, I'm all about the tapping. So we can literally just go straight into the tapping and the breathing and the talking. And I always feel that when we start tapping, that inner wiser mentor that is always there, ready to listen if we're willing to listen, is there to give us the advice and the support and the guidance that we need in that moment. So I hope that all makes sense. And if anyone is going through a tricky weekend or a tough time, or RSD is really flaring at you right now, I really hope that this quick video has helped you. And please do leave in the comments anything that you think might help other people, or perhaps what helps you, because I know that we're all such an amazing community with lots of great advice and wisdom of all ages. So if you do have something that has helped your RSD, please do share it with the rest of the community. All right, take care for now.